The coolest thing about Stoicism is it helps us turn a bad situation into a good one. Actually, let's go through Enchiridion by Epictetus. I still believe and think that it is an amazing book, and I really truly enjoy going through it. I'm not gonna lie. I think that I've stopped with page and chapter 25. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, 5. It's not able to count anyway. And actually the 25th being a really amazing one. I don't want to repeat it. Watch that episode and or go to the link in the description and check out page 25. You can also alter and or edit the URL that you're gonna find in the description, because you can see page, then slash, and then there is a 24 because I'm on the 24th page. And so if you just type in 25, you're gonna get to the 25th page right ahead, which is amazing. But let's see, 26. The will of nature may be learned from things upon which we are all agreed, as when our neighbor's boy has broken a cup or the like, we are ready at once to say, these are casualties that will happen. Be assured then that when your own cup is likewise broken, you ought to be affected just as when another person's was broken. Now apply this to greater things. Is the child or wife of another dead? There is no one who would not say, this is an accident of mortality. But if anyone's own child happens to die, it is immediately, alas, how wretched I am. And it should be always remembered how we are affected on hearing the same thing concerning others. Well, I do see it in two ways. It might also be the last sentence kind of saying that already. I'm actually not quite sure, but I'm gonna say it anyway. First of all, do not be attached to the things that you're surrounded by that much, because if you lose them, it's gonna hurt you. You're gonna feel terrible. And if there is no attachment, and if you do not feel any, if you don't necessarily care about it too much, then you're gonna be fine. You're not gonna be fucked. You're not gonna be unhappy. You're not gonna be sad. You're not gonna be anything. And second of all, if somebody else's, if something happens to somebody else, show empathy and do something and grieve with this person, which is actually pretty interesting to say that there is a Stoic thought behind grieving with somebody else in the context of it is fine to do so and one should actually also do so, but it shouldn't be concerning yourself inwards, So if you're complaining about something with somebody else, this is fine, but it shouldn't be your true self. This is just a way to make the other person feel better and help the other person. I don't know where I've had it from, probably some Reddit post, but I don't know. The 27th one. As a mark is not set up for the sake of missing the aim, so neither does the nature of evil exist in the world. As a mark is not set up for the sake of missing the aim, so neither does the nature of evil exist in the world. Interesting. And I do think that it is, if you believe there is evil, then there is also gonna be evil. Guess what? But if you don't believe in it, there is just not gonna be anything, as it is with so many things. And I still believe, I think because the context is not the same, but it kind of makes sense to say so. I do think that religions and being religious, I guess, makes sense just because of that. If you deeply believe from the bottom of your heart, with all of your mind, with everything that you have, that there is God, first of all, and second of all, that by praying and doing whatever, you're gonna make your life better. If you deeply believe in that, and you then also do that, well, you're gonna have a better life, And it's also giving you purpose and meaning in life, I'd say, because no matter what is happening, no matter what might be happening to you, in the end, you can still pray, you can still talk to God, you can still do whatever, whatever is part of your religion. You can still do that. Then you're going to be fine, You have something to do, something smart to do, something that, at least for you, make sense. And this is a good point, because things do not have to make any sense to anybody else but you. Obviously certain things are just gonna by default make sense to other people, and some other things won't. The 28th one. If a person had delivered up your body to some passerby, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in delivering up your own mind to any revealer to be disconcerted or confounded? Take care of your mind. This is what it reminds me of. The 29th. In every affair, consider what precedes and what follows, and then undertake it. Otherwise you will begin with spirit indeed, careless of the consequences, and when these are developed, you will shamefully desist. I would conquer at the Olympic Games, but consider what precedes and what follows, and then, if it be for your advantage, engage in the affair. You must conform to rules, submit to a diet, refrain from dainties, exercise your body, whether you choose it or not, at a stated hour in heat and cold. You must drink no cold water and sometimes no wine. In a word, you must give yourself up to your training as to a physician. Something that's quite interesting is you must drink no cold water. I mean, there must be something about that, because if we talk about dieting and exercising and not drinking wine, what is it with cold water that they didn't like? Maybe just because it is too nice for you? I don't know. You must give yourself up to your training as to a physician. Then, in a combat, you may be thrown into a ditch, dislocate your arm, turn your ankle, swallow an abundance of dust. Well, not nice. Receive stripes for negligence, and after all, lose the victory. When you have reckoned up all this, if your inclination still holds, set about the combat. Otherwise, take notice, sometimes gladiators, sometimes blow a trumpet, and sometimes act a tragedy when they happen to have seen and admire these shows. Thus you too will be at one time a wrestler and another a gladiator, now a philosopher, now an orator, but nothing in earnest. Like an ape, you mimic all you see, and one thing after another is sure to please you, but it is out of favor as soon as it becomes familiar, for you have never entered upon anything considerately, nor after having surveyed and tested the whole matter, but carelessly and with a halfway zeal. Thus some, when they have seen a philosopher and heard a man speaking like Euphrates, though indeed who can speak like him, have a mind to be philosophers too. Consider first, man, what the matter is and what your own nature is able to bear. If you would be a wrestler, consider your shoulders, your back and your thighs. For different persons are made for different things. Do you think that you can act as you do and be a philosopher? That you can eat, drink, be angry, be discontented as you are now? You must watch, you must labor, you must get the better of certain appetites. You must quit your acquaintances, be despised by your servants, be loathed at by those you meet, come off worse than others in everything, in office, in honors, before tribunals. When you have fully considered all these things, approach, if you please, that is, if by parting with them you have a mind to purchase serenity, freedom and tranquility. If not, do not come hither. Do not like children. Be now a philosopher, then a publican, then an orator, and then one of Caesar's officers. These things are not consistent. You must be one man, either good or bad. You must cultivate either your own reason or else externals. Apply yourself either to things within or without you, that is, be either a philosopher or one of the mob. The question is, can you be a philosopher and still work in Caesar's office and or still be a gladiator? I think so. You know, if you apply the rules of you must be either a man, good or bad, then you must cultivate either your own reason or else externals, and within or without you. These three things come to my mind, or at least I'm just seeing it there. Caesar's office. Why Caesar's office? But I would say this as well. I think that that focusing your attention on the things that you have to do before you're able to do something and what is going to follow really is important when it comes to every action you take. Okay, if I choose this over that, how is this maybe gonna turn out for me in the future? Is this gonna make my life harder in the future? Is gonna do something to me in the future? And well, there very recently have been certain things that I thought about, and it at first sight and in the present it might be nice, but thinking a bit further and seeing the things that lay behind it, I realized that it's still nice, and one could consider the downsides and or just take the downsides as well. If you just do something, you have to take both sides, so the downsides and the upsides. So would be reasonable, but still difficult. Still difficult to say if I really want to deal with the downsides just for what I'm gaining. It's like always, what am I gaining? What am I quote unquote losing? Or what do I have to give? And what am I potentially getting myself into? If I get myself into something that I do not want to deal with because of whatever reason, then well, I'm not gonna do it. The 30th. Duties are universally measured by relations. Is a certain man your father? In this are implied taking care of him, submitting to him in all things, patiently receiving his reproaches, his correction, but he is a bad father. Is your natural tie then to a good father? No, but to a father. Is a brother unjust? Well, preserve your own just relation toward him. Consider not what he does, but what you are to do to keep your own will in a state conformable to nature, for another cannot hurt you unless you please. You will then be hurt when you consent to be hurt in this manner. Therefore, if you accustom yourself to contemplate the relations of neighbor, citizen, commander, you can deduce from each their corresponding duties. Duties are universally measured by relations. Is a certain man your father? In this are implied taking care of him. Well, yeah, if there is a relation, if there really is one, then there's gonna be certain duties. But if you lack those duties, then there is no relation. It's universally, it's like both-sided. You can't only go one way, which might be a bit dramatic if you think, well, yeah, I think he put it really good. Like, okay, if your father is just doing it in a certain way, then he's just a bad father, He's just a father, a bad father, But having a relation to a good father is something else, There's going to be different duties, and this just makes things a bit more complicated, I'd say. Like, just seeing it as a whole, like, okay, I'm having a relation with my father. Okay, I'm seeing that. That's fine. So, what are the duties? What are the rules? What are the things that I need to take care of? What he needs to take care of and whatnot, but most importantly, what I have to take care of. Because as he says, with the brother example, like, just think about what you do, don't really care about what anybody else does. It is what it is. Don't be like, okay, you did this to me, so now I'm gonna do this to you. Like, no, just don't do that. Even though I did it today, and I'm just realizing, like, why? It takes a ton of willpower and ability. 31. Be assured that the essence of pity toward the gods lies in this: to form right opinions concerning them as existing and as governing the universe justly and well, and fix yourself in this relation to obey them and yield to them and willingly follow them amidst all events, as being ruled by the most perfect wisdom. For thus you will never find fault with the gods, nor accuse them of neglecting you. And it is not possible for this to be effected in any other way than by withdrawing yourself from things which are not within our own power, and by making good or evil to consist only in those which are. For if you suppose any other things to be either good or evil, it is inevitable that when you are disappointed of what you wish, or incur what you would avoid, you should reproach and blame their authors. For every creature is naturally formed to flee and abhor things that appear hurtful and that which causes them, and to pursue and admire those which appear beneficial and that which causes them. It is impracticable, then, that the one who supposes himself to be hurt should rejoice in a person who, as he thinks, hurts him, just as it is impossible to rejoice in the hurt itself. Hence, also Father is revealed by his Son when he does not impart the things which seem to be good. And this made Polynices and Eteocles mutually enemies, that empire seemed good to both. On this account, the husbandman reveals the gods, and so do the sailor, the merchant, or those who have lost wife or children. For where our interest is, there too is piety directed, so that whoever is careful to regulate his desires and aversions as he ought is thus made careful of piety likewise. But it also becomes incumbent on everyone to offer liberations and sacrifices and first fruits according to the customs of his country, purely and not heedlessly, nor negligently, not avariciously, not yet extravagantly. And with that being said, I'm gonna say goodbye. Have a nice day.